Trapped in the depths of the underworld by the evil Lord Kabuki, our ancient heroes Red and White Lion are the last hope for the mystical kingdom. Countless warriors have tried in vain to defeat Lord Kabuki, and now it's up to our two fellas to take him on and save the people of the mystical kingdom from his reign of terror. Mystical Fighter is a side-scrolling beat-em-up game released by Taito and Dreamworks for the Sega Genesis in 1992. It's based heavily around Japanese mythology, and you may know Dreamworks from some of their other popular titles like Target Earth and, of course, Wings of War. There are quite a few things about Mystical Fighter that help separate it a bit from a lot of the other beat-em-up games out there on the market. First and foremost would be its atmosphere. According to the manual, the game takes place during the Shogun era in Japan, in a very dreamlike underworld that our heroes are fighting to get out of. You'll travel through 5 levels of the underworld that are crawling with the slaves of Lord Kabuki, and all of them are hell-bent on making sure you stay down here. Especially these little hopping bastards that can be super annoying. Both of the main characters in the game are Kabuki warriors and look pretty much the same aside from their color schemes. The good news is that this one is indeed a 2-player cooperative game. Even still, it's pretty fun to play through even in single player. Luckily for us, these guys do know how to fight. They've got a few effective moves to take advantage of, like the spin throw, that will end up taking out everything around you as well as the fella you're tossing. Be warned though that this move will drain your health slowly, but it's a worthy payoff for such an effective move. Also, when you have little to no life left, you can still keep using it until you die, which is nice. Aside from just the spin throw, which you'll no doubt use quite a bit, you can also roll, slide kick, toss enemies, and of course attack and jump kick. You'll also come across different weapons and scrolls throughout your journey. The fan can be thrown off screen and will return like a boomerang to take out any guys on the other side, and the jite can be used to chop down foes from close range until you get it knocked away by an enemy. The scrolls that you'll pick up add to the amount shown at the top of the screen and kinda works like the magic in Golden Axe. You accumulate scrolls that can be used by hitting the magic button, and the strength of the spell depends on how many scrolls you have total. These all look really cool, and each level of magic has its own separate and unique effect. You can also pick up a sushi plate which will replenish your health, or if your health's already full, it'll actually add to it and give you more total health, which is always a nice touch. Some of the levels are divided into separate sections, and each one will have you face a boss at the end. They can be a bit tough at first, but each one usually has a very simple pattern to them, or a move that they're especially weak to, and after you figure that out, it's a piece of cake. Fair warning though, this is one of those games that will show you one of these kinds of screens after beating it on normal, so you may just want to go ahead and set it to hard. The graphics in Mystical Fighter aren't really anything special to look at, but there are some neat effects here and there. A few of the stages have multiple layers to them, and I do like the mist effect on stage 4 and the fiery background on stage 5. Kinda reminds me of Thunder Force 3 a little bit. The bad guys are all pretty big and the game is moderately colorful, but there's really not that much animation when it comes to the enemies and bosses, though some of the end bosses are pretty big and are cool to look at. In my opinion, Mystical Fighter has really strong sound. The effects themselves may not sound overly impressive, but everything is really clear and sharp. The music in this one is excellent, and just about all of it is really memorable and well put together. I really dig the boss music, and pretty much every stage theme in the game is awesome and unique. Mystical Fighter controls very precisely for a beat-em-up, and almost too much so in some areas. See, there are a fair amount of holes and pitfalls that can be used to your advantage in the game, but if you're not careful, you can also lose quite a few lives to them. Since the game controls so tightly, sometimes you'll kinda be in the zone and rolling around, slide kicking enemies, and drop yourself right into a pit by accident. A is used to attack normally, B is used to jump, and C is used to activate your magic attack. Everything works well, and it's really easy to just jump right in and play. Mystical Fighter is a game that I never really hear anybody talk about. I guess it kinda gets lost in between the Streets of Rage and Golden Axe series, as well as countless other games in the genre on the Sega Genesis. It's a shame too, since it really is quite an enjoyable game that's even more fun with a friend. It's not too terribly hard to find, nor is it expensive. You should be able to find a copy of Mystical Fighter at a fairly reasonable price. Give this one a shot if you're in the mood for a more atmospheric beat-em-up game on the Sega Genesis. Something a little bit different than all the other ones out there. Not to mention that it does come with some pretty rockin' tunes and solid gameplay. As always, guys, thank you for watching and subscribing. Until next time, stay classic.